Hi everyone, how are you? It's Leah Cross with the Mortgage Center, and I'm going to chat with you about lenders because many of you are very unsure as to why not just go to the top 5 banks, ask them what their rates are, why bother going to a mortgage broker? Well, aside from the fact that we're free and we do the footwork for you, there's a lot more than just 5 main banks out there. When it comes to a broker, for myself, I actually have access to well over 40 lenders. Okay, everything from banks to non-banks to private lenders. And it's very key to understand the difference between all of them and why I might put you in contact with one as opposed to another. So let's go through banks. Obviously we know who they are. They're like the TDs, the HSBCs, the Scotia Banks, the Royal Banks, and the ones that you see on your street corners that you do your regular banking with. Why not go to them right off the bat? Well, they're on every street corner. Yes, they're very accessible and they have a lot of advertising and there's a lot of awareness about them, but that's actually to their detriment because now they're spending a lot of money on leases and employees, and they do checkings and savings and RSPs and insurance, and they're paying for advertising, and so obviously they have very high costs. Now, that's not to say that we don't use banks. I use banks all the time. I love using Scotia. I love using HSBC and stuff, depending on what product they're offering, depending on what their rates are, and depending on how my other lenders are competing with them. So it's not to say that I don't use banks. However, you need to be aware that they do have all of these extra costs and that mortgages are not their first industry. This isn't the only way that they're making money. So that's banks. Then you've got your non-banks. Well, what the heck is a non-bank? It's exactly that. It's not a bank. It doesn't have any facilities that you can go in and do your checkings and savings. You cannot buy RSPs from them and you cannot buy insurance from them. In fact, you cannot even talk to them unless you have your mortgage with them. They strictly deal with mortgage brokers. The reason they do this is, again, to keep their costs low. They can either pay for people to man the telephones, they can pay for people to deal with each individual client one at a time, go through the song and dance with them, spend so much time explaining the process with them, collecting paperwork with them. That is a lot of man hours. Okay, and it takes a lot of man hours as it is just to underwrite a file. Or they can say, we're only talking to brokers, because then brokers can spend all this time with the client and brokers can spend all the time sourcing the clients and explaining the process and collecting the paperwork, and then all we need to do is go, thank you very much. We've just saved a lot of time, therefore our rates are really low, our fees are really good, and all of that said and done, we have a really happy customer at the same time because we've saved them all this money. So that's what a non-bank is. Private lenders are basically people, literally people, with lots of money. Now sometimes they buy into things like mix, where it's a whole bunch of people contributing all of their money that they then lend out. Other times it's just some really rich dude who has a lot of money and invests in mortgages because they are fantastic investments. It's very rare that you're going to lose any money on them because you've got such a hefty collateral, which is the property itself. Now, why would I use one, or if you come to me, why would I put you in contact with a bank, a non-bank, or a private lender? Well, let me talk about the private lender first and foremost. The main reason that they're there is because they are what I like to call picking up the crumbs. They're picking up the people that the banks and non-banks will not touch. Why? Because their credit is horrible, because they don't have documented income. Maybe they're self-employed and all they do is make cash, or they write off so much stuff, or they're in an industry like pornography or even escort businesses or something where a bank or non-bank doesn't really want to look like they're supporting these businesses. Well, the private lender basically says, look you need a home, I get that. You have no income, you have bad credit or whatever the case may be. Frankly, we don't care. If you're willing to put down an X amount of money and pay us higher percentages, we will take a risk on you because we know that we've got your house as collateral. So that's the main reason that private lenders are out there. They do offer regular rates on occasion. They do, try to compete with the non-banks and banks, but for the most part, that's why I use them. I use them so that there's really no deal out there that I can tell a client, look, we can't get it done. At the end of the day, with a private lender, I can get it done. You just might have to pay more. When it comes to a non-bank and a bank, the reason I would go to them is basically they're competing when they're talking to me. They're competing for the rates. They're competing for your business. And so it's my fiduciary duty to look at them and go, Okay, are you a new immigrant? Well, I'm going to put you with this lender because they offer the best product. Are you self-employed? I'm putting you with this lender because they offer the best product for that situation. Do you have a bunch of kids and or a bunch of write-offs, or do you have a bunch of whatever? There is a lender who specializes in product, and if you have no specific situation, then we're just going to find you the best rate. We're going to find you the best terms that's going to suit your future goals, and whether it be paying off a mortgage, flipping your house, or doing renovations, or whatever the case may be. All right, so that's how I basically choose between them. But don't worry if all of a sudden I place you with someone who's a non-bank. A non-bank is the same, stability as a bank. They have the same real chances of going under or doing really well. All it means is that they only strictly specialize in mortgages. They don't do all the other stuff that banks do. Okay? Now, with that being said, no matter who you go with, private bank and non-bank, when it comes to refinancing, go back to your broker, come back to me, because again, we need to get them competing for your mortgage again, competing for that rate. It is extremely rare, and there's really only 2 lenders out there that I would trust to refinance you at their best rate. Never do they offer you their best rate upon refinance, and in fact, it's more important to go to a broker during refinance than it is to do when you're first purchasing the home in the first place. All right, so hopefully that helps you out. If you have any questions about lenders, or if you're curious as to who I would place you with or anything like that, give me a call. Go to my website, mortgagesinvancouver.com. Give me a call, 604-313-9096, and I will let you know, based on your situation, who I think you should go with and why, and I'm very confident that you'll agree. All right, so hopefully that helps you out. Talk to you soon.